Do they have the time, and would you be interested if they come out with a reasonable scenario?
Well, I think the first comment, had I stayed, I would be in a spot that I'd basically be, in the same position that Frank was, rolling into the Confederation building. Mm-hmm. I don't really think that's appropriate, for anybody, for him or for me or for anyone else. I do believe that these things should be contested. I do believe that, a party or a process to elect a leader, it should be something that people are interested enough and confident enough in themselves that they put their name forward and are prepared to talk about the issues that affect, people in this province. And I think the circumstances by which anybody would automatically get to be premier by default are not something that should be acceptable to anybody, especially the guy that's getting it or the person that's getting it. Because, if you happen to get the job, you need to have some degree of I was going to use the word credibility, but it's probably not the right word. But you need some characteristics of how you got to that position that actually gives you the moral authority to govern, because you're put in that position to represent the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, and to just kind of fold into it in any manner different than an open process where a lot of people would have a say about who gets to be their premier. It's not correct.
Well, it's interesting that you say you believe that it should always be contested, and yet it was your withdrawal that made it essentially a one-man race in the end. Obviously, you believe in it, but you're not prepared to. You weren't at the time, at least, prepared to sacrifice yourself just for the sake of having a contest. You felt that it was already decided. Everybody had declared for Mr. Coleman. Nobody within caucus was prepared to put their support your way. Are you fearful that we'll see the same sort of thing emerge this time around, that somebody will be designated as the preferred candidate, and therefore it may be less interesting to people like yourself to get involved?
Well, there's two points there. Let's leave this time around until the latter part of my answer. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my withdrawal that made it a singular individual race. Like, in general terms, the way I would characterize it in terms of myself, the selection process inside the party and the weight of people that influence party decisions and cabinet members and whatever. I think there are two things that basically characterize my demise. First would have been my own stupidity, the comment about the bucket of this. I mean, that was not the right thing to do, even though there's all, I won't even go there again, but that was I'll call it a false start by me. And then, when you have somebody of Danny's stature coming out and saying, an old pair of wool socks other than Bill Bear, and I don't even know if he said that, but that type of thing created an environment where there was really nowhere for me to go, especially after 8 cabinet ministers came out and a couple of people in caucus told me that, Bill, we support you, but we can't publicly say that because we think we might risk our political careers. So it was a non-entity for me at that particular point in time. Where the party goes from here, I mean, and I made the comment to a few friends of mine, the party needs rebirth, not an afterbirth. The party doesn't need to go through the same mistakes, the same process, and for God's sake, nobody should try and circumvent or short-circuit this process. I mean, this is a process called democracy, and when you don't have democracy, you look at things like what's happening in Iraq today with the Shia and the Sunnis. We're not in any position like that in Newfoundland. Excuse me, but when you don't have a democratic process, where you don't have the ability of people of their own independent mindset to get in something, and they're not restricted too much by insiders in the party or financial reasons, and when you don't create an environment where a lot of people that want to vote and want to choose who's going to either lead the party or be their premier, I mean, Pete, you have to have that process to have legitimacy to do the job, because there's a lot of tough decisions that need to be taken in Newfoundland. There's a lot of tough choices going forward, and unless you've got the will of the people the understanding of the people and the support of the people to go do that job, you shouldn't be in there.
Can I ask you, do you think that under any leadership, the Conservatives, given what's happened and the fact that now, whether they want it or not, they have a do-over in regards to the leadership, is it possible in the amount of time they have to turn this around and have success at the polls next time?
Well, I mean,
success being a win, obviously.
If obviously it's an uphill battle for the PC party. All right? But, and I'll give you an objective opinion, and this is an opinion that is not colored. I'm not talking about red, green, red, orange, or blue. As I'm not objective observer of politics in Newfoundland, I'm not very excited about anything that I see. I looked at the policies brought down by the Liberals this week or discussed in Gander, and even though most of the things that they said I do agree with, and they'd probably be on a list that I would have personally myself, but they'd be like number 999 to number 1,000 on the list. The issues about, this province, our deficits and our debt and where we go at Muskrat Falls and what electricity rates we're going to be paying, 7 or 8 years out, and will we be one of the most uncompetitive electricity environments in the country, the demographics of our age, our declining population, where the fishery goes with, very little crab resource and a declining crab resource, a shrinking shrimp resource, a return of ground fish, how we deal with the issues, potential issues on the west coast of Newfoundland, things like fracking. You've got real believers and you've got real disbelievers. And these are very important instruments of public policy decision that some party needs to really come to grips with to have certainly an open debate with the people in the province of Newfoundland, to engage people, because through that, people need to have, in today's world, people need to have a window into government. People, this is not 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And people get a window into government by the government being open and ready to engage with them on all the issues, not in a plastic manner, but in a manner that is really transparent. You don't need whistleblowers when you got open government. Things like Bill 29 shouldn't exist, and that provides the mechanism by which the electorate can participate with those people that represent them. And that's not being done enough in the way I see it in political life in Newfoundland, irrespective of which political party I look at. And I'm trying not to be biased, because I'm giving you my opinion. Right. When you talk, when I look at the polls and I look at, you ask what are the future prospects of the PC party. People are not excited and have not been excited for quite some time as to what's going on in the PC party, and have not been excited in terms of a lot of politics. There's a lot of very smart, intelligent, capable Newfoundlanders and Tories that have had an enormous amount of questions about the direction. And those questions, they exist throughout the whole province on a myriad of issues. But people want to be engaged. And most of the things that I find that people want to hear discussed and hear talked about by our political leaders, they're not getting discussed by either party. So, a year in politics, a week in politics, people say, is a lifetime. Somebody said to me recently, it seems like a day in politics now is a lifetime. Yeah. But ultimately, a lot can happen in a year. So it really depends. It really depends who the new leader is, how this party re-energizes itself and reinvents itself. If the PC party, in my view, stays the same old, very little chance of getting good numbers in the next election. But the challenge is, again, on the other side, for the Liberals to really engage in debate. And if that's not happening in both parties, we'll end up with a poor government, no matter who gets in.
Given an open process where people are not signed up to one candidate or another, it's going to be an opportunity to have real debate, share ideas, and pitch your leadership to the province in the end. Are you the man to lead this party into the next general election?
Well, there's two views of that. One is Bill Barry's, and the other is the party's view. Okay.
I'm only asking for yours.
Well, it's very self-serving for me to say I'm the guy. Let me make this comment. In my own life, certainly from the next number of years of my life, I'm sure I would have a wonderful life staying where I am, doing what I do, because I do love what I do. However, I do love this province, and I am bothered. I am bothered by the lack of debate. I am bothered by the lack of engagement. I am bothered by the serious issues not getting a lot of coverage, a lot of press, a lot of debate, a lot of time, a lot of argument, because without those things happening, we will not have a good outcome. I am certainly considering where I go and if I go in political life or from here. But some of that will be less about my own aspirations and more about, the encouragement that I would get from people in the party to do it. Because there's one thing, I've done a lot of swimming in my lifetime, and it's always easier to swim downstream than it is to swim upstream. So, if I'm just not a person that's palatable, and when I say palatable, I made the comment to CBC in the last 24 hours, that I've been in a leadership position most of my entire life. And I'm not really, I'm a good team player, a great team player. I'm not much of a follower though. I mean, I'm accustomed to wanting to lead. I'm accustomed to wanting to engage people in debate. I'm accustomed to having a vision in my mind of where things are and where I'd like to take them. And I mean, this has been the way my life is. And if those attributes are things that somebody would feel are of some value, then people can talk to me about it, and I'll give it every consideration. But Bill Barry as an individual, and I mean everybody in Newfoundland, I'm a little bit of a different entity. I'm completely straightforward. I'm that old expression, honest to a fault. I'm going to give you a straight answer, and I want a great outcome for this province, and I want a great outcome for the people here.
Okay, so what I think I hear you saying is that although you're not comfortable saying that perhaps you're the guy, you are saying that you are a guy who could and would do it.
I'm absolutely a guy that could do it.
Right. All right. Yeah. Well, listen, that's fair enough. I really appreciate your time today, sir. We can talk about an awful lot more, and perhaps we should try to do that over the next short while.
Yeah, real nice talking to you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.